happy King's Day to those who celebrate. Today's King's Day in the Netherlands, and it's basically the King's birthday, so you have a holiday. Although it's Saturday, so there's no actual holiday. But anyway, on to being a witness. The anchor scripture is from John chapter 9, and it really goes into detail about what it looks like and what it means to be a witness as a Christian today, and I guess always. So, John chapter 9, quick summary, cliff notes, is where Jesus heals a man that was born blind, and it was also on the Sabbath day. And so the Pharisees were upset about it. And meanwhile, the guy who received his sight was busy, like, excited about it and telling people about what he had experienced. And Jesus basically talks about like how the Pharisees are blinded spiritually. But yeah, um, basically that's what John 9 is about. And the first thing to think about from that is like, what does it mean to be a witness? Or what does it mean to witness? To witness is to report what you've heard from God yourself, from God Himself, and what you have seen and experienced. So, I'm not a lawyer, but from watching many courtroom shows, a witness is someone who is called to talk about what they have seen or heard firsthand to support a case, or to basically to help either the prosecution or the defendants, and the person talks about what they've seen or heard. And in the context of being a Christian, or in context of witnessing as a Christian, you don't have to have been a direct beneficiary of something to testify. It could be something that you've seen, because elsewhere in the book of John, people talked about Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. They weren't the ones who were raised from the dead, but they witnessed that, they saw it happen, so they could talk about it. So even if they were not the ones that literally experienced the resurrection, like physically, they can be they are trusted witnesses because they saw it happen in real life. So, to witness, dictionary definition is to have personal or direct cognizance of, to see for oneself. And the synonym is to testify, which is to make a statement based on personal knowledge or belief. Part of what we're supposed to do as Christians is to be witnesses. Jesus, when before he ascended into heaven, told his disciples, he said, then you will be the witnesses into Judea, Samaria, and the rest of the world. And in Acts as well, it says that for you, in Acts 22:15, it says, for you will be his witnesses to all men of what you have seen and heard. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they wrote their respective letters, and we can see and read and hear what they experienced to know more about Jesus. So they were witnessing about Jesus and documenting all the things that they wrote about, because they weren't writing to you or to me necessarily. They were writing to specific people in that time to explain what they had seen and experienced. In fact, in Luke chapter 1, Luke literally explains why he's writing. He's writing to Theophilus, who we don't know who that is for sure. At least I don't know who that is. Maybe some theologians have looked into it and can identify who he is. But he's writing to Theophilus saying that he has investigated everything and has decided to write an account of what had happened, like surrounding the life of Jesus. So that was his own witness of what had happened by documenting eyewitness experiences of those things, so that Theophilus could know and understand better what he has been taught. And so, because Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote those things, we also today can learn about Jesus. In John chapter 21, John talks about how he was a witness. He said, this is the disciple who testifies of these things and wrote these things, and we know that his testimony is true. Another example is Mary in John chapter 20, verses 1 to 2, and also in verse 18. Mary is telling the other disciples what she has witnessed. The tomb is empty, and she has seen Jesus, and he had told her things. So from these experiences and definitions, you can see that witnessing is telling others about an experience or inviting them to come and see something, like Mary did. So with the other people, they were just telling about an experience and then somewhat also inviting you in. But with Mary, she was more explicitly inviting them into something. If you also think about the woman at the well, she went into the town and she said, come and see this man who has told me everything about myself. So she was telling them something and she was also inviting them to come and experience something for themselves. And so, as Christians, what do we witness about? We witness about something that has happened. The noun form of the word witness is an attestation of a fact or event. And the Merriam-Webster dictionary gives testimony as a synonym, which one definition of testimony is an outward sign. So the blind man in John chapter 9, or the formerly blind man in John chapter 9, is talking about, he was telling people about how he was before and what happened. He had been blind, he encountered Jesus, and now he could see. And that's physically, and it's also the testimony that we have as believers spiritually. We were blind before, but now we see because we have encountered Jesus. So in John 3 as well, chapter 25 to 30, you also see that the man witnessed to other people that I was blind before and now I can see. John the Baptist also testified about Jesus by speaking about what he saw as well. He saw the heavens open and he saw the dove descend, and like everyone else talked about too. And you can see that in John chapter 1. You can also see that in Luke 24, other examples of witnessing. And so we witness about what we have seen. We witness about something that has happened, what we have experienced. And we witness, the most important thing in our witnessing as Christians is we're witnessing about who caused the change in our life, who caused the thing that we experience. And a change has occurred, we have been transformed, and that could be receiving physical healing or emotional healing or being transformed in our ways. Maybe before you were given to outburst of anger, given to jealousy, given to strife, you had low self-esteem, whatever, and you encounter Jesus and then all of those things are gone. That is a witness. Testimonies is not only, oh, somebody sent me 10 million naira. Testimony is also, before I used to be very impatient, I used to be rude, and now I'm not anymore. That is also a testimony. That is the transformation. So we witness about the agent of the change, and in this case it is Jesus. So Jesus comes to us, or we encounter him somehow, and he saves us, he redeems us, he delivers, he heals, and he renews us. So there's a statistical method in psychology or in the social sciences. I can't speak for psychology because that's where I know it from, called a t-test. And it's basically used to assess the efficacy of an intervention by comparing a measure before and after the intervention is applied. So you can think of it even in like not A/B testing, but like maybe you make a change in an interface and then you look at the before that change was made and after the change was made, what the conversion rate or whatever is, that kind of thing. So that's the idea. So basically, there's a before state, there's a quote unquote treatment, and an after state. And in terms of being a Christian, there's a before state, being in sin, struggling with something, suffering through an illness, experiencing some kind of challenge, and then there's a treatment, which is Jesus, and then there's the after state, which is salvation, deliverance, redemption, healing, renewal, and so on and so forth. And so John Piper talks about this. He says that witnessing is about Jesus and nothing else. So he says, quote, "As witnesses, you do not go as an emissary of your nation of origin. You go as an emissary of the kingdom of Christ. Your aim is not to create cultural enclaves replicating your earthly home. Your aim is to establish outposts of the kingdom of heaven," end quote. And so I will leave it here today. And in the next episode, we'll look at who can witness, also why should we witness, and how, where, and when do we witness. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If you found anything insightful, interesting, or you enjoyed this episode, please do share. And remember to like, if you can, wherever you listen to your podcasts, leave a comment, subscribe, so you get the future episodes. Thanks. Before you go, this is a reminder that you can ask me to talk about a specific topic or answer a question that you have by filling the form in the show notes to submit your suggestion or question. Bye.